Rappler says the penalty imposed by the Securities and Exchange Commission for an allegedly unconstitutional Philippine depositary receipt provision is too severe. Rappler lawyer Francis Lim says the SEC decision to nullify the PDRs issued by Rappler Holdings Corporation to Midday Network Fund LLC, as well as revoke the Articles of Incorporation of Rappler, are anti-investor and anti-business. Lim cites the Supreme Court decision in the case of Gamboa v. Teves, promulgated on June 28, 2011, where it held that the capital requirement in Section 11, Article 12 of the 1987 Constitution refers only to shares of stock entitled to vote in the election of directors. A former dean of the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila then filed a petition, alleging the foreign ownership guidelines set by the SEC in 2013 were tailor-made to allow PLDT to skirt the law, limiting foreign ownership in public utilities to 40%. But in November 2016 and April 2017, the SEC affirmed its earlier decision to reject the petition to nullify the foreign ownership guidelines set by the SEC. Lim says, quote, control, according to the SEC decision in Gamboa v. Teves, is done through the board of directors who manages the company. But SEC chairperson Teresita Herbosa says PLDT's case and that of Rappler are two different issues. Herbosa says, quote, SEC orders revocation of companies even for just failing to submit annual reportorial requirements. Is it not fair to revoke also on ground of violation of the Constitution and the law? But Lim says there is no factual basis for the SEC decision because Rappler submitted a waiver of the provision in the Midday PDRs last December. Herbosa says what was submitted was just a photocopy of the waiver and not a document subscribed by a notary or a Philippine consulate. President Rodrigo Duterte says he will file plunder charges against the Prieto family. This despite the government already taking over the Prieto family's Smilong property and selling its shares in the Philippine Daily Inquirer to businessman Ramon Ang. Duterte says, quote, one of these days, I'll file a plunder case. When I file a plunder case, you will go to jail without a bail. You'll see, you fools. He does not elaborate on how the Prietos are guilty of plunder, a crime defined in the Philippines plunder laws as the amassing of ill-gotten wealth worth at least 15 million pesos through criminal acts by a public officer. A person who connived with a public officer, even if they are not one themselves, may also be punished for plunder. But Duterte repeats his previous accusations against the Prieto family, that they were cheating the government by retaining control over the Milong property in Makati without paying the proper taxes. The president claims former Bureau of Internal Revenue Chief Kim Henares reduced the amount of taxes the Prietos were required to pay from billions to millions. Former White House Chief Strategist Steve Bannon on Tuesday testifies before the House Intelligence Committee in its probe into the Trump campaign's links to Russia. It is the first time Bannon testified in the probe of an alleged collusion between Trump's campaign team and Russia in its bid to influence the 2016 U.S. elections. Bannon was also subpoenaed by Special Counsel Robert Mueller, who is investigating the same issue. This makes Bannon the first person from United States President Donald Trump's inner circle to receive a grand jury subpoena from Mueller in the probe, which is also looking at whether Trump has tried to obstruct the investigation. A controversial book released last week, Fire and Fury, Inside the Trump White House by Michael Wolff, quoted him as saying that the pre-election meeting involving Trump's eldest son, Donald Jr., and a Kremlin-linked Russian lawyer was treasonous. Wolff was given substantial access to the White House during Trump's first year by Bannon. Bannon resigned as Trump's chief strategist last August.